Pastor, good morning. How are you doing? Good morning from Dallas, people. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I have all my friends joining. What a joy to be here. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is going to be a nice time together. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Is it possible you flip your camera around so that it can have the same? Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay, I think.
Got it? Yeah, exactly. Well, good morning, people. This is an amazing day. It's a beautiful day. My name is Samuel Nnamdi, Reverend Gentleman Ambassador of the State of Israel, and I'm at the same time host of both live questions and ministry questions. When we gather together and deal with ministry issues, but life questions is a different ballgame. It's when we gather together and deal with life issues, life business. And today I have a man that is just stellar, simply amazing. This is a man that I have known for some years now, so many years, and I have come to respect the wisdom in him. You have come to respect the organization in him. He has wisdom, he has organization, he has administration, and he also has the ability to train, to teach, to consult, and help people succeed in their different areas of endeavor. Now, quickly, before I bring him up, the way this is going to go is he's going to take maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and he's going to share with us something about the subject matter of today. Do you know the subject matter of today? The role of parenting in raising unemployable youth. So he's going to take his time and talk about it. And when he's done with his presentation, we'll come back together and have some very beautiful time of interaction. We will have questions and answers. We will go back and forth and just have an amazing conversation. If you do have a question, please be part of this video. If you do have a question, write it down in the comments box. Write it down somewhere. Get a jotter. Jot down your question somewhere, because at some point when it's time for question and answer, we will require for you to ask us your question. Right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think he's running away from the background noise in his office. I was about to say that, but exactly. I'm happy he figured that out himself without having me say it. But we are going to have a nice time. Well, people of God, ladies and gentlemen, this is a good man, a man you want to listen to, a man that overflows with wisdom. Help me make welcome the one and only Francis Oka. Now, he is a pastor. He pastors under my father in Enugu, Nigeria. And but beyond being a pastor, he is a marketplace apostle, heavy marketplace apostle. So please make welcome the one and only Francis Oka as we go into this discussion. Man of God, it's over to you now.
Good evening.
Meanwhile, you know, sir, when we looked at the topic we are going to discuss, I'm like, what? Role of parents in raising unemployable. I'm like, wait 1 minute. So this thing has left the hand of government. It has left the hand of school. We are now looking to parents. We are now beginning to even indict parents. We are now trying to say that some of our youths are unemployable, and the people responsible for that are parents. This topic, I'm so interested in it, and I cannot wait to hear your viewpoint about this topic, because I believe it will help parents do a better business of parenting. Over to you, man of God.
All right, thank you very much, Reverend Ike. It's an amazing opportunity to be here with you. I consider it a great privilege. As I brooded over the subject matter that we are discussing at this particular point in time, I realized that it's an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of many people with transgenerational consequences. So I do not take this lightly at all. I really do appreciate the fact that you considered me, the ideal person for this conversation. That said, I'm going to delve straight into the subject matter. We are looking at the role of parents in raising unemployable graduates.
Give me 1 second.
I heard you say...
Before you go ahead, I'm thinking here, you are backing the window, but I'm thinking
okay.
if you face the window and open up the blind, it might give you illumination.
Okay.
I want something that will brighten your face. I'm looking at something that will brighten your face. Yes, you see what I'm saying? Yes, your face is coming out better now. If they can open up the window, open up that window, it will supply more light. Oh, lovely.
Okay, I just did.
Yes, I need for people to see. Yeah, now we can see you reasonably. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Better. Okay. All right. So I was going to say that I heard you say it has left the corridors of government and of course the issues of failed academic systems and things like that, and it's now in the court of parents. But the truth is that's where it actually began all the while.
Wow.
What we see, yes, is the inability of the schools, the religious organizations, as well as the government to be able to bridge many gaps that have been created by faulty and wrong parenting.
Okay.
In other words, it all started with parents, actually, before all them governments, religious institutions, as well as, those other factors that are contributing. The very foundation of the problem has always been parenting. So we realize that more and more young people are coming out from our tertiary institutions grossly unemployable. These are people who are absolutely useless to the average employer. They do not have the requisite skills, all right, for the few available jobs, as a matter of fact. And part of what happens as a result of that is that you have a situation where the few available jobs have an increased shelf life. So if they were supposed to have been taken off the shelf in 1 week, they stay on the shelf for up to 3 weeks to 1 month, because recruiters, people are going to have to run interviews upon interviews to find the right match for the job. Meanwhile, the number of
your network is your network is hanging. I just ask you to be patient with us. Let's see. Man of God, if you can hear me, I'm having a challenge with your network. I'm having a challenge with your network, if you can hear me. Please be patient with us. These things happen, and I believe he's going to get back on track. I don't want to rant about poor network condition in some African countries because my friend and my brother is talking to me from one of the African countries, and I don't want to live. I don't want to complain about poor network situation, so I'm going to behave myself. But it's better now. Go ahead, man of God. Please go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. I was saying that we now have a bigger problem with unemployability of graduates than unavailability of jobs. Initially, the issue was unemployability of the issue was unavailability of jobs. All right, it was unemployment. We're saying that there are not enough jobs to go around, except that we are now beginning.
We have a problem with what? I need you to say that line again. It's important. Say that line again. We have a problem with what?
We have a bigger problem with unemployability of graduates than unavailability of jobs.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like I said, initially the problem was scarcity of jobs. All right. We need to do what we have to do to create more jobs so that more people will be employed. Except that somewhere in the background, there were dynamics that were going on, perhaps that stakeholders did not pay attention to, that was busy creating a generation.
Oh, Holy Spirit, help me today. People, the network is gone bad again. Be patient with it. I beg of you. you know that what we are about to have as a conversation will be transformational. Please be patient with us. Okay, he's back.
Why? Because you have to conduct interview upon interview. I mean, in last month, I recruited for 2 employers. And
you might have to rewind. You might have to rewind. Your network was paused, so we didn't hear what you said like 3 seconds ago. If you can go back again, let's catch up with you. It's important.
Okay, so by the time we did not foresee, that there was, as a result of the dynamics that we're playing behind the background, a generation that's coming, most of whom are going to come out of private, tertiary institutions unemployable. They don't have the requisite skills. They don't even have the attitude, that is the behavior, the character, all right, to be able to operate, yes, properly in a proper workplace environment. A lot of them have serious emotional intelligence deficiencies, have very unoverlookable character, deficits, Yes, and then that is added to the fact that they don't even have what it takes to get the job done. It's a very, complex situation. Last month, I recruited for 2 employers. I had to go through a lot of hurdle, a lot of work to get. In fact, I conducted interviews up to 5 times before I could get the first set of employees for the first employer. By the time I was done with that of the second employee this month, by the time we revisited it, we realized that we had to run another exercise so we can see if we get better options than we already have. It's a very serious situation. I'd said before that I'd said before, because that's the situation now. Then I said that the biggest problem of the average small business in third world Africa will no longer be capital. It will now be human resource. Because if you look at what's going on, that there are lots of funding platforms, all right, both locally and internationally. So a lot of SMEs, there's never been a time, all right, in at least in African history, when businesses are able to access funding like there is now, especially from the COVID-19, the lockdown, all the way to post-lockdown periods. There's been so much push with regards to funding SMEs. Okay, especially in this part of the world. Now we have a bigger problem facing most of these SMEs, more than just capital, and that is human resource. The average SME is bleeding from most people mistake human resource for human capacity. In other words, they feel that once you have people around, things are going to get done. What they don't realize is that you can't say that unless those people you have around are trained. If they are not trained, you cannot assume that things are going to get done because people are around. So what we have is that lots of businesses, organizations, including religious organizations, are having a skills drought. There is a famine of skills, even though we have an increase in the number of people around. I don't know if you understand what I just said.
Very well, very well, very well.
So you're having more and more people around, yet you're having, there seems to be an inverse relationship between the availability of skills and the number of people around.
My God.
So we would now say that this whole thing is traceable to the various homes where these young people are coming from. Okay, where I'm doing broadcast from is my office at Solid 100.9 FM in the city of Enugu, Southeast Nigeria, where my radio program airs. All right. In fact, it's coincidentally it's today that it is every Tuesday 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. West African time. So in Solid FM, there's something we did a few weeks back. It's called the Kiddies OAP competition. In other words, the competition where children between the ages of say 7 all the way to 13 are supposed to apply. Of course, their parents help them apply, and then they come and compete to become, to win the OAP prize, so that that child now becomes the person that's going to be working with the anchor of the children's program to run the children's program on this radio station. So we had over 150 children coming for this competition. It lasted over a month, and I participated as one of the judges. And so one by one, these kids were auditioned, and they were, tested. We interacted with them, and it was such an amazing experience. It was daunting, a task, because you had over 150 children. It was a whole day's job, really. But I noticed something in the process of the whole thing going on, and that was the fact that I saw that there was something not right with the way these kids came about to do what they were doing. I noticed that a lot of them had their parents prop them, program them to say certain things in certain ways in order to impress the judges and qualify for the next level. I don't know if you see that. Now, it is okay, right, for parents to prepare their children who are going for such, a program or a competition. Yes, I mean, it's a competition for, for all intent and purposes. But I noticed that these kids came in with a fiery drive to compete. They wanted to outdo the next person. They wanted to prove a point to their parents that they were not daft. They also wanted to be their schools proud that, they were the ones in front of the camera and stuff like that. And I noticed something not right. I realized that these kids were going about what they were doing as if to say the rest of their lives going forward will depend on the performance that they are putting up on this stage. There were very few of them who were relaxed, all right, who weren't necessarily chasing something like their lives depended on it. Yes, they put up, very good, a very good outing. Okay, these are people who, you could see that they didn't need to win this competition for their parents to still love them. Okay, right. They didn't need to come to qualify for the next level. All right, for their schools to still accept them, for them to be acceptable among their peers and their friends. Okay, they were comfortable with who they were and what they could do outside of that competition. Whereas there were many other kids, okay, who put up a performance, and you could see that the parents of this child must have told the child, maybe I will buy you to win. Maybe, there's just this communication that things are not going to be the same if you don't win, if you don't qualify for the next level and stuff like that. So I noticed that a lot of these parents were highly competition minded. I also noticed that the schools, right, where these kids came from, were overly competition minded. What the kids did not know was that in that process, they were becoming guinea pigs in the hands of parents and teachers, school owners. Because on the one hand, the school owners want to impress. They want to tell the world that, look, we raise the smartest kids. If you wanted your kids to be smart, you bring them to our school. I mean, the competition in between the schools is cutthroat, right? Every school wants to point that they are the best. And the material with which they are going to make that statement is these children, right? On the other hand, parents too want to prove to fellow parents that they are getting their job done as parents. I mean, they're not paying cheap school fees. They're paying expensive school fees in private schools, trying to give these children quality education. You see that now. Except that when we threw questions that tested the
That's not a good place to hang. Oh, Lord in heaven. That is not a good place to hang. Okay, Lord. I love this conversation already, don't you? Let me fill you in the comment box, if you will. Write something for me. Let me know you are watching. Let me know you're here. Man of God, if you can hear me, I want you to go back
I can.
when you said accept that. We don't want to mix it. Start from accept that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, except that, whilst this whole thing is going on, the kids are the is going to make a statement. They are the materials with which these schools are going to make a statement that they are the go-to option. In the same way, they are also the materials which their parents are going to prove to the world that they are not failures after all, and they have smart and intelligent children. So what's going on is that there's an excess emphasis on aptitude at the expense of attitude.
Wow. Wow.
Aptitude is good. Aptitude is good. We can't take that away. But there has to be a balance, all right, between aptitude and attitude. In fact, the emphasis was supposed to be on attitude first, then attitude, then aptitude next. But what we see there is that the emphasis is on aptitude and aptitude alone. That's part of what was playing out there. So we saw very few of these over 150 kids, you know, who put up the right attitude whilst they were in the midst of the competition. Okay, so that brings me back to the subject matter. So in fact, I did a video I posted on my Facebook group, Market Shift Africa, you know, buttressing that point. I had to, you know, take that whole competition, analyze it a bit, and then put out the point I wanted to make in that video. If you search Market Shift Africa and scroll down, you'll see the video I made there. Now, the idea is that I was trying to call the attention of parents to, you know, something very important, that look, and even the teachers, that brains is not all these kids have got. And this is where most parents are missing it. Brains is not all these kids have got. It's just one, all right? There are other factors, and as a matter of fact, more important factors, all right, than the brains that we're working on. Things, there is the head of the child and there is the heart of the child. This is very important. The activities around the parenting of most parents and the activities in most schools are targeted at the heads of the children, and then the heart of the children go uncatered. Too. So what's happening here is that we are raising very smart and intelligent kids, but with dysfunctional hearts. By heart, I mean, you know, the makeup, the inner makeup of the child, the emotional, you know, quotient of the child, the character base, you know, value system of the child. You know, these things are left, you know, almost uncatered to, all right, whilst we have a situation where the brain is being sharpened every single day. So this is where the problem starts, foundation level. Attention to notebook, attention to pass exams, attention to score the highest, all right, is where the emphasis is, all right? So I said in that video of mine that I have two lovely daughters, and trust me, they're in school. I am not in a hurry for them to be the first in their classes. I'm not. As in fact, it doesn't treat me in any way that, oh, you came first in class. Why? Because there's coming first in class and there's coming first in life. I am more interested in coming first in life than coming first in class. If I can have the both of them, fine and good. But where my attention is coming first in life. As a result, there is no undue pressure on my children to come first. They are intelligent, they are doing well. As a matter of fact, my first daughter is leading in her class, but that does not thrill me. I channel my reward system, all right, to the angle of behavior, value system, more than I do with grades in school, because I have come to understand that the people who call the shots, the greatest of the men, the stars, the celebrities that we celebrate, you can hardly find anyone that's an A. Exactly. You can hardly find one that's an A-grade student in school. You can hardly ever call a name. I don't want to say none so that I don't sound absolute. Okay? So you realize that that's not where the real issue is. And so I want to start early with my children to let them know that this is not where the real issue is in life. That there is another area that is more important. That's what we should be looking at. So when children come from this kind of environment and homes, and they grow up with a strong drive and resolve to go to school, to score good grades, to pass exams, to come out with flying colors, and this and that, and that's the most important thing that they are chasing. What you're going to have is these people are going to come out with strong aptitude, but wrong attitude. And if I quote Phillips Consulting said, the employer hires aptitude, but he fires attitude.
Wow. Wow.
I'll give you a quick example. There is an organization, federal organization called NCC, Nigerian Communications Commission in Nigeria. They have what they call emergency communication center across the country. Every state has one. Okay, so I happen to be the one managing the Anambra State, ECC, that's Emergency Communication Center, on behalf of the contractor. The contractor hired me to, do some management consulting for him. So I'm managing the staff there. It's an outsourcing arrangement. And something happened. There's this particular lady, smart girl. The lady is smart. In fact, for you to know how smart this lady is, we're going to downsize, right? We're going to downsize. We need to take away some people and hire new hands. And I was talking with the supervisor. She was a call agent, okay? And I have a team of supervisors, all right, that I'm working with. And then when the supervisor saw her name on the list of people that were going to be laid off, unanimously, they made a case for her that no, we need this person. She is good. She's good on her job. We need to retain this girl. She is good. We need her in the team. These people did not know. They just saw the list, right? The names on the list right in that meeting. And without having a separate meeting with regards to this particular girl, they unanimously had the same opinion that this girl was good and we needed to take her name off the list of people that were going to be retrenched. And I said, wow, this recommendation comes in strong. So I agreed with them and I took her name off the list. When I spoke with her, I told her how that she was highly spoken of by her supervisors. She must have been good, really. So as a result of that, she was retained. And then shortly after, one of the supervisors resigned and we needed to promote one of the call agents to the position of a supervisor. Guess the person that was more recommended for the position? The same girl.
Same lady.
She was smart. The same lady. So she was promoted to the position of a supervisor. Except that in that position, one of the things I noticed about her was that she was brash and arrogant. Oh. So I decided to cut her some slack. I decided to give her some leverage and say, so I called her into a meeting and I said, look, you are occupying a leadership position now, all right? What that means is that there's a level of, a behavioral pattern and attitude that you're expected to put up. I was having a meeting with the entire workforce, and then she interrupted me while I was talking to ask a question. And that question she asked, as a supervisor, as a management staff, she should have asked me privately. Say, look, boss, how about this? Don't you think we should do something about it? Something like that. He should just ask that question like that, in presence of other people. Well, as somebody with my level of emotional balance, I received the question without trying to correct her or rebuke her or anything. I answered the question straight, and I asked if she was satisfied with my answer. She said yes, and I moved on. So I used that as a case in point to make her understand that you don't do that. I mean, you are communicating, in other words, to the management that though you are management, you are not for management. That kind of impression. And sometimes the management may never call you for a meeting. They will just look at you and, mark you and just notice that this person, we need to find a way to, arrange her somehow. All right. So I took my time to explain to her.
So in aptitude, she was good. In attitude,
yes,
was having an issue.
Exactly. So, except that after I finished speaking with her and all, it looked like she understood what I said and all that. But then down the line, I realized that she has a strong deficiency in that area. So watch this. The aptitude gave her the raise, but it would take attitude to keep her in that position.
Wow.
She did not last up to 2 months in that position. She did not last up to 2 months. I had to make a case for her to be taken out of that position and returned back to her position as a call agent. I didn't want for her to be fired. I just said, look, just move her from the position. Let her go back to her position as a call agent. Let's get someone else who has the right behavior that we can, put in that, position. So this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So a lot of these young people come out very smart, very, intelligent and stuff like that. And then, but when it comes to the maturity, the emotional quotient that is required, all right, to, hold things down on the job. They are extremely challenged. That's one category. There's another category that's even worse. These ones, they're not even intelligent, they are not smart, and they don't have attitude.
And this one is prevalent. This, unfortunately, is even prevalent. Oh, Lord have mercy. Wow.
The
Lord
people in this category 2 that I just mentioned now, they are more in number.
Oh, wow.
So we have
everything you're saying to me now is that if parents had done their work well,
yes,
they would have raised a child by them focusing not only to the brain, like you said, but also focusing to the heart, the area of attitude, the area of relationship, the area of other form of intelligence. If parents would have done their jobs well, they would have brought up a child who is brainy and who is also balanced in terms of brain and also balanced in terms of attitude.
Exactly.
So this is where we are getting it from. When you said something about brain, I just I called myself, you know how they say it in this generation, calling somebody else. I called myself out. I said, okay, Pastor, take a look at it. Because I keep insisting for my daughter. Now, that does not mean I don't focus on the area of, their heart or their attitude.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I'm asking myself, I tell my daughter, I said, A of 80 is not the same with A of 100. When you go there, get me the A of 100. Complete it 100. Get me 100. And the thing is helping her, they did a test, they did an important test that qualified them for a higher grade. She's now going to middle school. And the girl was just smashing. She was smashing everybody and everything. She said, Daddy, even the people I thought were smarter than me, they were even smarter. You can't believe they scored 50. Wow. You can't believe it. 50. And I scored 70 something. The other one, I scored 100. You can't believe that this girl was excited that she scored 70 something. And this is where I'm wrong. I'm calling myself out. This is where I'm wrong. Okay. She was excited that she scored 70 something, higher score than most of the people, even the people who thought we are smarter than her. And I said to her, what happened to the other points in that 70 something? Why did you not make it up to 100? What is the agreement between you and Daddy? You have to give me 100 here. You don't give me anything less than 100. Now, that wanted to downcast her, right? Okay. I went to school, I picked them up from school, and that was what I was saying. You needed to see the excitement with which she announced the result to me. And you needed to see how I'm trying to stay on my point of you have to give me 100. And then when I noticed it was trying to downcast her, I had to quickly switch over. Wow. Okay. I said, wow. So you are telling me that even the people you think are smarter than you, you did well more than them. I say, you are my baby. High five, right? so when you say this, it's a point. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. It's not time for me to interrupt you yet, but go ahead. Just talk to us more before we get into question and answer. And people, if you're listening, I beg of you, please start dropping your questions now at the comment box. I beg of you, drop us a question in your heart. Drop us a question. We want to address your question. Please, please, and please. Go ahead. Please, go ahead, man of God.
Okay, so now, that being the situation, it means that we go back again, to the foundation. So why it is like that is that most parents, especially in third world Africa, all right, have a gross ignorance problem when it comes to the art of parenting. There is a problem. Most of them have a very, very faulty assumption. That assumption is this. Very quiet, subtle, but dangerous assumption. That assumption is this. That assumption says, because I am a good person, I will raise good children.
Wow.
Yes, that's the assumption. Yeah, so when a good-looking dude, all right, hooks up with a beautiful lady, and both of them are nice together, nice guy, nice lady, and they are nice together, they assume that they will together raise good children. What they don't know is that it is like saying that because I'm a nice guy, I'll be a good driver. So I just jump into a vehicle and, kick the car. and then get into the road because I'm a nice guy. I'm just going to crash.
Yeah.
So this is because the fact that I can move the vehicle doesn't mean I'm a good driver. You see that? Because driving is a skill. It has to be learned.
Wow.
In the same way, parenting is a skill. A lot of people don't know that whilst motherhood and fatherhood are for life, parenting has a shelf life. Parenting is an 18-year assignment. The social justice system has it that once an individual is up to 18 years, the person is considered an adult and should be and is expected to be able to make certain decisions for himself or herself, being that he is the one that will live with the consequences of those decisions. Below 18, the person is said to be minor. Once a person clocks 18, the person is said to have got to the age of accountability, where the person is regarded as an adult. So what's happening here is that most people who have children, they do not know that despite the fact that they are good people, it doesn't automatically translate into raising good children. That's why good people have bad children, because they did not know. I've even heard people say, this parenting thing, hey, leave it though. You don't know, some children are very wonderful. That some children are just, you cannot predict, you can't tell. Some children, no matter what you do, they will just turn out the way they turn out. I look at them and I laugh. See, that is ignorance advertised. They are advertising their ignorance.
Wow.
See, because I know that there are no stubborn children anywhere in this world. There are only ignorant parents.
Come on, say that again. I need for that to be said again.
That's the truth. There are no stubborn children anywhere. There are only ignorant parents. I give you an example. If you see, some children are born with certain kinds of health issues. Like children that are autistic, for instance. Some children have, some sort of deficiencies, from childhood. But you would notice that when they are in the hands of the right kind of parents who have the right skill set and the requisite resources, they still grow and turn out well. There is this guy that is, for years now that's been making rounds. The guy without limbs. I've forgotten his name now.
Nick.
Exactly. So imagine a Nick. Imagine that, a person of that nature. You see that Nick was blessed with the kind of parents, that he was born in their hands. They knew enough, and they had enough to be able to take a person of that nature, all right, and groom him and raise him, so that even though he does not have limbs, all right, even though he had certain deformities, he's a celebrity. He has eaten from the plate and drank from the cup of greatness. Many people across the world know him today. His following is amazing. Okay, that's a product of the right parenting. That's the truth. If you carried Nick, with, I don't mean any, I don't mean to talk in a way that's not proper, but if you carried Nick and you gave him to some other kind of parents, all right, perhaps he might not even have been alive by now. They
will carry him in a wheelbarrow, begging on the streets.
Exactly. All right. If you switch the roles and put Nick in somewhere, maybe in Ghana or in Nigeria or in Senegal, all right, third world Africa, he will be on a wheelchair, all right, and his parents will be using him to make money through the instrumentality of begging. You see that now. So what that means is that I'm using as an example that there are no stubborn children anywhere. There are only ignorant parents, because every single individual is different in his making and in his wiring. It behooves the parents to study the child and first of all discover the child. A lot of parents are raising children they have never discovered.
Let me write that down. Go ahead, man of God.
A lot of parents are raising children they have never discovered. They've raised these children have become adults. The parents still haven't discovered their children. And so they do not understand that one of the first and most important things they were supposed to do for the child is to help the child engage self-discovery. For it is self-discovery and awareness that precedes the discovery of purpose. And the discovery of purpose precedes the pursuit of purpose. And it is that pursuit of purpose that leads ultimately to a fulfilled and a life of greatness.
Wow. Say that one more. I'm sorry I'm having you repeat things. Say that again.
It's
I
fine.
need this to get into people. Say that again, sir, please.
Okay, so I'm saying that one of the most important things that parents are supposed to do for their children is to help them engage self-discovery. For it is the discovery of self that precedes the discovery of purpose. And the discovery of purpose precedes the pursuit of purpose. And it is that pursuit of purpose that yields a fulfilled life. Such that when one wise man puts it this way, he said, let us so live that when we come to die, even the morticians, the undertakers, will be sorry. You know, undertakers are people that deal with corpse every day. Nothing moves them. I mean, they see corpse as just, logs of wood lying on the ground. Why people are crying for them? This is how they are. So for a mortician to be sorry, as in to become sorry that this person,
to feel emotion.
to feel emotion on the death of that person, man, that person must have a very impactful life. So that man said, let us so live that when we come to die, even the morticians will be sorry. So for people to be able to experience that kind of life, that the mortician will be sorry when